Providence graduate guard Sabou Gueye is a name you should know. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Built to Ball podcast. My name is T. Baker. I'm your host. And on the Built to Ball podcast, we cover all things Big East women's basketball, part of the Big East Energy Network. Subscribe, like to all of our content, and we are so glad you are here. So this week, as usual, going to talk about some of the top performers in Big East women's basketball this past week, week 2 of the season, and we're entering week 3. So we'll talk a little bit about what to expect in the upcoming week. Highlight some top performers, and in particular, one top performer, Sabou Gueye, who I mentioned in the cold open. Just want to talk about her game, the recruit that Aaron Bath has brought into Providence, and kind of how she's that team's X factor this season. But let's get started with our usual, our top performers. Every week, I'm going to share the conference Big East Player of the Week and Big East Freshman of the Week, talk a little bit about their performance, and provide you with some analysis. So this week, Sarah Strong, for the second consecutive week, is the Big East Player of the Week. If you don't know her name yet, learn her name. She is probably the best player in women's college basketball right now. She is bringing a different level of elite efficiency to UConn's roster. She showed her versatility in playmaking. She's showing what she can do on the defensive end, leading UConn in all statistical categories, that, points, rebounds, steals, blocks, assists. She can do it all. I think what was so remarkable for me to see on Sunday when they took on a really good Ohio State team, headlined by Jelani Cambridge, is that Sarah Strong just seemed to be able to do whatever she wanted on the court. She had 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists, a couple blocks, some steals. Like, she just was doing it all. And I think that it's going to be really the test of women's college basketball, the field this year, to figure out how to stop Sarah Strong. So the second of what I believe will be many Conference Player of the Week awards for Sarah Strong. But the first Big East honor for Big East Freshman of the Week, Blanca Quiñonez. So another UConn player as a top performer this week. Gino Auriemma and his staff have found a way to really tap into some elite international talent over the past several seasons. You think of players like Nika Mule, Aaliyah Edwards, who comes from Canada, Dorka Juhas. Just has the ability to recruit players with really diverse experiences on the international game. And I think really appreciates the type of player that Blanca is. And the thing about Blanca Quiñonez is she's dangerous. She's a 6'2" guard. She can run the floor. She's an elite defender. And seeing her teamed up with Sarah Strong had just a different level of force to it, UConn. So, this was sort of a breakout game at OSU. Gino kind of let her play through some of those mistakes, but she had 18 points on 7 for 10 shooting, showing she can be a real scoring weapon for UConn. And, post game, just chatting with Coach Auriemma and with the players, it was funny to hear a throwback comparison from Gino. Said said that Blanca's got a lot of Svetlana in her, and of course Svetlana Abrasimova is a UConn All-American. She played in Russia when was recruited to UConn back in the late 90s, early 2000s, won a national championship with the team, one of the greats to wear a UConn uniform. And, Svetlana could do everything on the court, offensively, defensively. She was just an international player who came in really polished. And her thing was just kind of her downfall, as you could say, when she came to UConn, was that she was just, she would do whatever she wanted. She was kind of hard-headed, which led to a lot of turnovers or mistakes that Gino would have rather avoided. And he sees a lot of that in Blanca because she's a player who is constantly making fast decisions on the court. And I think sometimes the challenge for her is going to be to slow down a little bit and sort of fit into the flow of UConn's offense. But I think Gino is willing to let her play through those mistakes and, just really talented duo in this week's top performers, with Sarah Strong as Big East Player of the Week and Blanca as the Freshman of the Week. And again, the future is bright for UConn. The present is bright because Sarah Strong's a sophomore, Blanca is a freshman, and those players are just playing at really high caliber at an early time of the season, which is a scary sign for Big East opponents in the upcoming conference season. So the rest of the honor roll includes Lee Volker, Marquette graduate guard. We've talked about her before on the show. One of the graduate senior leadership on Marquette chose to stay for her 5th year, is really a grounding veteran presence on that team. 23.7 rebounds versus Bowling Green, and another 13 points against Minnesota. We have sophomore guard Jada Eads. She, again, will be on this list many times this year, I think. 16 points for San Francisco, 14 points, 5 assists, and 6 steals versus Pacific. So showing her, the way that she's a two-way player, the way she disrupts other teams at the point of attack and just kind of puts a lot of ball pressure on teams. So 6 steals. Fellow sophomore star in the Big East, Jasmine Bascoe, 16.5 points per game. She had 3 threes against JMU, and again is one of those just up and coming stars, kind of the anchor on that Villanova team. So really young, promising sophomore talent in the Big East. A player that I have been really excited to see, Mariah Noel. She's a graduate guard at Xavier this season, and she comes from the SEC. She played under Coach Yo at Mississippi, and got to speak with her a little bit preseason just about the edge that she brings, having competed in the SEC, and really just bringing that intensity to Xavier, averaging 17.5 points per game along with 4 assists per game, provides steady perimeter scoring, and really just brings an anchor talent into that program that's been trying to work its way up over the past several seasons under the leadership of Coach Billy Moore. And last, but certainly not least, because she is who we're going to talk a little bit more about today and get into a little bit more detail, is Providence graduate guard Sabou Gueye. She is averaging, this past week, she averaged 16 points and 10 rebounds per game. She really had her breakout performance with a double-double against Boston College, which, many could consider an upset. That Boston College is an ACC team, tend to be a team that can compete, well in the ACC. And so to have Providence have that win, I think it was a signature win for a team trying to find its new identity, under the leadership of Coach Erin Bath, and who's entering her 3rd season. So another young coach in the conference. But what I like about Sabou is just the way that she is so quick and versatile. She's really a physical, multi-level threat who changes PC's identity with her toughness and her grit. And Coach Erin Bath mentioned, at the beginning of the season, Big East Media Day, people were talking about, Tanisha Brown, who is another high impact transfer to the program, came from Fairleigh Dickinson and has NCAA tournament experience and is a big, that's hoping to anchor the post for Erin Bath's team. But Erin said to me, the player that you're sleeping on or that people aren't saying is Sabou Gueye. And I can tell why she said that, what she saw in Sabou. And I think that what brings what has allowed her to be an elite impact player right away is that she's an experienced player. She played for Florida A&M last season, played in 27 games with 26 starts, averaging 11 points, 5-ish rebounds, about 3 assists and 2 steals per game, while shooting 46% from the field. So a really efficient scorer with 18 double-digit scoring games. And prior to that, she played 2 seasons at New Mexico State. And even prior to that, she was part of the NJCAA National Championship, so junior college, as part of Northwest Florida State's title run. So what I really appreciate about what she brings is experience. And I think that's something that Coach Bath is looking for, because she's building a program that has a lot of new pieces. I think it was 8 players that turned over on the roster this past season. So she's building a team with new recruits. But, when you bring in younger players, you also need those older players to steady the hand and provide experience in those tougher moments. So I really just, appreciate that Coach Bath is building a program that has versatility, that's kind of in the eye of the type of the team she wants to have, which is defensive minded, gritty, fast, running up and down the floor. And she's beginning to put the pieces in place to get there. And for me, Sabou Gueye is kind of the foundation of that, and one of those players this season who can make some noise in the conference, and that you should keep an eye on. So moving along to this week, we are headed into week 3 of Big East play. Actually, when this drops, we'll already be in it because this is going to drop on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. But upcoming games that I'm looking forward to, and one of them I'll be covering on Friday. This Friday is a top 10 matchup at Mohegan Sun. Number 1 UConn versus number 6 Michigan. And I don't know if you all saw, but Michigan really kind of put the beat down on a Notre Dame team that kind of just looked stymied by what Michigan threw at them last week. I think it was about a 30-point victory. I'm just gonna confirm that. I don't want to get any more hate for being a Notre Dame hater if I get the number wrong, but no, actually it was a 39-point victory, 93-54. So dominant. Frankly, overpowering victory over Notre Dame, and I think exposed some of Notre Dame's vulnerabilities this season, which is that they're putting a lot of pressure and expectation on Hannah Hidalgo. But she doesn't, when she gets, against teams that have the type of intensity and pressure and talent that Michigan has, and they can shut her down, which they did in this game, and other players don't, step up to the challenge, there's going to be problems when you're competing against really talented teams. So what intrigues me is that Gino Auriemma in the post game against Ohio State mentioned that he thinks that this could be the toughest non-conference game the Huskies face all season, which, is saying something because they're competing later in the season against Tennessee, against Notre Dame, some of their top rivals, and some, top 25 caliber programs. But what he sees in this team is just a team coached by his friend Kim Barnes-Arico, who he texted after the game. He mentioned and said, like, wow, really not looking forward to Friday's matchup after the beatdown you put on Notre Dame. And she replied back, we're not looking forward to it either. So they are competitors, but they're two, just longtime coaches in the game who build really strong programs year after year. So I'm really looking forward to this matchup. And of course, UConn looking to build their resume as well. And so far, they've kind of steamrolled their competition. I'm excited to see a team that can hopefully really test UConn, because especially this time of year, those early season tests or early season losses really can define how you move forward. We saw it last year with UConn after that loss to Tennessee and Knoxville. I think there was some embarrassment, but it refocused them, and they came out and defeated South Carolina, ran the rest of the way to a national championship and one of the best NCAA tournament runs we've seen from this program. So, I know, UConn fans aren't used to losing, and it used to be a situation that would sort of shut down the state of Connecticut briefly, when that would happen. It's not the case anymore. There's so many high caliber, talented teams that can compete. And I think these losses are good for UConn to sustain throughout the season, to prepare them for the intensity of the NCAA tournament. The other game that I'm keeping an eye on, Temple at Villanova. For y'all that don't know, the Big Five is where the 6 Division I Philly women's basketball programs compete every year, in sort of for the glory of being the top Big Five program. Drexel, Penn, St. Joe's, LaSalle, Temple, and Villanova, and they compete in sort of a round robin format. And then coming up on December 7th at Finneran Pavilion will be a 3-game showcase that ends in a championship and in a second, third, and 4th and 5th place team. So it's an exciting matchup. I think really what I'm looking at is that Villanova needs this win outside of the Big Five regional rivalry. They dropped 2 games against really high quality mid-majors in Fairfield and last week against Princeton. But if they want to build the type of resume that they do, which is to get to an NCAA tournament, they need to win these mid-major matchups. And so this is a test for them. I think if they can defeat Temple, which is a quality, American conference team, that should hopefully be motivating to them, because, this non-conference part of the season, especially with the 20-game conference season, means that these are your non-conference tests, and it's the types of things that committee members look at when seeding for the NCAA tournament. So looking to see if Villanova can get back on track, and when a better time to do that than against regional rival Temple, and to kind of make your case for Philly's best team. Well, that wraps up this week's edition of the Built to Ball podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. Please like and subscribe to not just this podcast, but all the podcasts in the Big East Energy Network. We're working hard to cover the conference inside and out, and just a lot of great energy as the season's begun. So thank you so much for listening. Please do like and subscribe. And until next time, this has been T. Baker.